With Infected starting as a community mode in Modern Warfare 3, it has now become one of the most popular party modes in Call of Duty to date. Now this game mode first came to Treyarch Games in Black Ops 3, and has now returned for a second time in Black Ops 4. Hey everyone, I'm RageGamer, and let's look at how Infected is different in Black Ops 4. So right off the rip, you'll notice that the whole game mode has got more of a zombies vibe now than a standard multiplayer Infected vibe it has done in the past. So for example, when you start the match, you'll hear that same music that you hear at the start of a zombies round.
Fight off the infected and try to survive.
And then at the end of the game, you'll have round ending music, which is similar to that you'd find in zombies. At number 2, as some people suspected, the John or Jane Doe character models that are found in Blackout are now found in this Infected mode. So these are the character models you'd find for all the infected people. Now it's interesting because if you choose a female specialist, you will become Jane Doe, which is the female zombie, and if you choose a male specialist and then become infected, you'll become John Doe, which is the male zombie. So whichever specialist you start off with determines which character model you'll be once you become infected. And these zombies character models also make the classic Call of Duty zombie sound effects, so as soon as you hear it, you'll think of zombies. Now next up is there are set classes in the game. So what I mean by this is that back in Black Ops 3, you could choose pretty much any class you wanted in Infected. You could make it however you want, tailored to the game mode. But I always thought that was kind of quite easy and it took away from the party game feel of Infected. So I'm glad that they brought it back in this game mode where there's just a set number of classes because it's a bit more unique and special then. And with these classes, you'll be given a random one when you spawn in to the map, and obviously if you want to change it, you can. Now there are 6 classes in Infected that you can choose as the survivor. The only thing I want to point out is that unlike certain Call of Duty games, the classes themselves aren't randomized. So in games like Ghost and I think World War II, even though you might be given the same weapon, the attachment such as the optic on the gun would change every time, and it would make it a bit more random and make each Infected game feel a little bit more unique. Unfortunately that's not in this game, but I'd love to see them add it. So at number 4, you may have noticed that there's no tactical deploy. So because you can't put down a tac deploy beacon, you cannot choose where to spawn. And this means that for the infected, if you die, you will just spawn back at a random spawn location, and unfortunately you can't spawn in a specific place that you want, which makes it a little bit more difficult for the infected to actually kill the survivors, and it gives them a little bit more of a fighting chance. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'll leave that up to you. The interesting thing is that because of this, it's compensated by the infected having an increased sprint speed, so you can run across the map much quicker. And as well as this, the infected also have the perk tracker, so that they can see the survivors' enemy footsteps, so they can follow them around, see where they're going, just based on their feet. They also have a tac mask perk, which makes them less vulnerable to equipment. Now next up, I've kind of already touched on this, but you can obviously choose a specialist that you want at the start of the game, but this is only in terms of aesthetics. So you can't have any specialist weapons or equipment, so it doesn't really matter which specialist you choose, it's only what you want to look like. And obviously, like I said before, if you choose a female specialist, you will become the female zombie, and if you choose a male specialist, you'll become the male zombie. In at number 7, this is probably quite obvious given the game mechanics of Black Ops 4, but there is still manual healing in Infected, which means if you're a survivor or if you're an infected and you take any damage but don't actually die, then you'll need to manually heal yourself. Now this is more likely with the infected only because the survivors will be shooting at you and trying to kill you, so if they shoot you a little bit and you take some damage, you can obviously easily heal. But with the survivors, this is probably not likely because you're either going to be stabbed or have a combat axe thrown at you, and those are a one hit, one kill. Now next, speaking about equipment, there is a cooldown on the equipment for survivors and also for the infected. So for the survivors, if they've got a concussion grenade or Molotov or something like that, there will be a cooldown once they use it, so they can keep using them. They don't have to get kills to earn them or anything, you just automatically earn them with time. And for the infected, the equipment is the combat axe. Once you use your combat axe, there is a cooldown again until you use it again. So you can technically have unlimited combat axes, which makes it a little bit easier for taking down the survivors. Although if you throw one on the floor and it doesn't actually hit anything and then you run over it, you can re-equip it and that cancels the cooldown. And obviously that works for other people's combat axes as well, so there's 2 different ways to acquire more combat axes once you've thrown yours. And next up is the fact that infected does count towards your stats, so it's a good way to increase your win to loss ratio and possibly your KD as well. And more importantly, if you need to get a win of the day in multiplayer for a tier skip, it's really easy to in infected because you practically win 99% of the time. So if you need an easy win, for example, if there's only a few minutes until the tier skip expires, then quickly jump into a game of infected, win as quickly as possible, and then you're good to go. And finally, the melee weapon for infected. So instead of just a simple combat knife, the infected now have the Bloody Bowie knife. And this is obviously still a one-hit kill, but I think it's just a nice addition and it brings that kind of zombies theme into it. And you find this combat knife in places like Blackout, it can be equipped there and is used as part of certain special character missions. I really think it's a good fit for infected and I'm glad they brought it in. It just adds that whole zombies feel to it and makes it feel a more authentic game mode. Now finally, I quickly noticed that in matches the deaths weren't registering, i.e. it will say you have X number of kills but it wouldn't actually track saying, oh, you've got any deaths at all, so it always says 0 deaths for me. I don't know if this is just because the game mode is new and it's a bug or whether it's supposed to be like that, but I did notice that your deaths still come up on the combat record, so not really sure why that's going on. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching, hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and while you're at it, how about subscribing too? But anyway, let me know your thoughts on infected mode in Black Ops 4, and I'll catch you guys all on the next video.